Welcome, everybody, on behalf of the National Career Development Association. We are pleased that you have all joined us today. Before we get started, I want to share a little bit of technical information with you. During the webinar, attendees, please make sure that you keep your microphone muted and your cameras turned off. We encourage any questions to be typed into the chat section, which can be found on the lower section of your screen. Our presenters and panelists will address those questions at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording link will be available on the NCDA website next week, as well as emailed to everybody that has registered. Individuals who signed up for this webinar will be able to log into their accounts on the NCDA website to view their CEU transcripts beginning next week. Groups that are attending will need to return a sign-in sheet to me in order to receive their certificates. This program is approved for 1 contact hour of continuing education. If you have any questions about continuing education, you can contact myself, Alicia Cheek, at the NCDA headquarters. I will now turn it over to NCDA Board Trustee Courtney Warnsman to introduce our panelists.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're really excited to share some of our favorite go-to resources for our profession. I'm Courtney Warnsman. I'm the trustee for private practice, business, industry, and agency. And I would like to introduce you to our panel for tried and true or something new. And we start with Monique Johnson. Monique is a career consultant. She is also a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant and has done a whole lot of work in that realm. Brandi Muñoz has kind of gone back and forth. She started in corporate and then became a consultant, and now she is back working with Ernst & Young as an assistant director and talent consultant. Jim Peacock of Peak Career Consulting does professional development and training. He does FCD training and then also does some private practice on the side. And then we have Karol Taylor, who is our resident federal career coach and counselor. And the panel was chosen to represent a cross-section of our constituency, the private practice, business, industry, and agency constituency, because I wanted to make sure that there was something for everyone. For those of you who are from other constituencies, don't fear, there is something in here for y'all as well. So as we start getting into this, as Alicia mentioned, we will be taking questions at the end. So we're just gonna jump right in here. We chose 4 different categories of tools and resources to share. Some of these will be resources that you're already familiar with that maybe we can share a new perspective on. Some of them may be brand new, but our goal for you today is to be able to take some of this information away and be able to start implementing it in whatever area of career development you do. So we're going to start here with revisiting and refreshing assessments. As you know, there are so many available, both qualitative and quantitative. And so I am going to jump right into allowing our panelists to share their favorite go-to assessments. We're going to start with Jim in card sorts. And I have to tell you, as much as I love card sorts, until I saw this slide from Jim, I had no idea there were so many different options. So Jim, take it away.
Oh, thanks, Courtney. Yeah, this is not even anywhere near my whole list of card sorts. I do a card sort workshop, and I must have 20 different kinds, but these are the ones I like. I just thought I'd throw these out there. The Nodell skill and values card sort. I'm going to show you a way that I use the skills card sort today. And I know Hanson has done a great job developing these work-life balance cards and skill scan, but there's all kinds of different card sorts. So let's just sort of take a dive into Nodell's. So this is how Dick Nodell has set it up. So you sort your cards, you get all these cards, and you say, I really love using this skill, or I strongly dislike it. And then you're going to take those piles and then move them across. I'm not, out of the ones that I totally delight in using, I'm highly proficient in this one and competent in this one. Next. And there, so it ends up looking something like this, so you have these cards all over the place. Okay. And next. So what Dick comes up with, and he calls them the motivated card sorts, is that in that upper left-hand corner is your motivated skills. If you really like using them and you're good at it. Okay. Next. And then down here, this is another very important piece. This is the corner when a client or I'm working with or a student I'm working with, those tend to be the ones, the reasons why they don't like a job that they're doing, because they're good at them and their boss goes, well, I'll give you more of these because you're good at it. So those are good to know. Next. And then developmental skills next, and then the burnouts, the unimportant skills. You don't like them, you're not good at it. But go to the next slide. There you go. So what I do, and that's all good information, but I always felt like there was something missing. So I always say, I get them to that point, they take a picture of it, and then I say, take the top 2 rows, which are the ones they totally delight and enjoy using very much, and just sort them into categories or themes that make sense to you. And so I'm just going to show you a couple of examples of what happens. And they're all, people do them all kinds of different ways. They have different groupings, they have different organizations. But this is just to give you an example of a student who I was working with who ended up doing this, and he ended up coming up with product design. So Courtney, I'm going to have you go to this slide, and then I'm going to have you come back to this slide. Go to the next slide, and then you're going to come back. He did this sort, and he ended up saying to me, I'd like to work in a field like marketing that allows me to use my creative skills to generate ideas in a way that also allows me to provide a product of some sort. And we kind of came up with this tagline: being creative, solving problems, and creating a product is what energizes me. So now go back to the previous slide. So what happens in these card sorts is I always call my workshops the magic of card sorts, because there's something kinesthetic going on, there's something deeper going on in their heads. And so when he put these cards into these columns, visualizing column, the generating ideas, and the design column, he may have already thought about product design at some point in time, but as he did these sorts, they just made sense to him. And he says that mechanical ability was off to the side, and he was just able to say, this is what I like to do, but I want to make something. He kept saying, wasn't quite sure. So the card sorts give people a chance to sort of think at a deeper level, and then also just be able to sort of use these words and skills as a way to sort of communicate with me and express some of their thinking. So next slide, and then go to the next one. And this is just another example of this was a history major, and he had 3 different groups, but he connected them all with different research online. But it was a great way for us to have this conversation about how is this stuff connected and what are you thinking? So I love card sorts, but I really like this 3rd card sort that Dick Nodell his stopped at the step before this, but I think that's the magic of the card sorts. All right, that's mine. Thank you.
No, thanks, Jim. And I would also think that for people who are more kinesthetic learners, that being able to hold these cards in their hands and move them around and manipulate them would also help maybe trigger some things. So,
and I think in this day and age of computers and stuff, people are a lot of times they're looking for an answer, when the card sorts helps people generate the answer within them, because they're thinking about these cards, these skills at a different level. So the kinesthetic piece is real powerful.
Got it. All right. I'm going to turn the screen over for a couple of minutes to Brandi here. So give me just a minute, Brandi, and I will give you I'm going to stop sharing here so that you can share your screen, because I know you wanted to do some demo for us.
Thank you. Yes, let me share my screen and get to the right spot here. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be going through the Myers-Briggs Company website, and more specifically MBTI, which many of you I'm sure have either taken the assessments, distributed them, you may even be certified, and also the STRONG inventory, which is used a lot with career services, whether it's academia, private practice, even in the corporate setting. And I've been in all of those, so I've been able to use them interchangeably. One thing I wanted to highlight, while there is the official certification program, there's also the educational eligibility. And this is actually how I got certified. And so, let me put this link in the chat. So if anyone's interested in getting certified with educational eligibility, you can go to this site, and there's all the different types of degrees that can be considered for certification without having to go through the formal certification process, like taking the classes and things like that. And some, like my degree is in dispute resolution, and so it does fit into one of these categories. But once you submit your application to get certified, they'll assess all of your transcripts and educational background, or if you have any of these licenses or certifications, those will also be considered. And then you would get access to the certification. So I have access to Strong, MBTI, all of the suite of them. So if anyone's interested in doing that, definitely take advantage of it. It's about $150 a year to keep up your access to the system. And so it's a really great way to get certified really quickly and be able to use these in your practices and your workplaces with clients or in academia. And so another thing, so I wanted to show you just some of the assessments. So Elevate is actually the portal where you would go to actually, send out the assessments, choose which assessments that you want for your clients. And all of this, you would have to create separate logins, because there's the MBTI piece, and then there's the Elevate, which is where all the products are held. And so some of these, the strong ones especially, there's some for high school students, there's some for college, there's reports, and basically you can go through and search their database to see, okay, which one is going to help this person specifically. There's even, inventory and purchase history. So if you want to repeat the same assessments over and over, you can do that. Go back here. Oh, okay. When we're live, who knows what happens? Just like that. Let me get it back on my screen. So what I like to do with my, whether it's my clients or even with my company, we will go through and assign an assessment to someone. And so basically what you would do is you would click the Get Started button, and then you would go and pick out which assessment and report that you want to go through with it. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. If you're in a private practice setting, it would be probably to your benefit to have them do the assessment, and then you get the report and then go over it with them in a coaching session. Sometimes, like with academia, the students can get the reports themselves and go through it and start to look at it. So like one example, let me see if I can open this example. And you can send it at a later date. You can send it with a specific email, with like an email template with your your company name, or however you want to send it. So it's really great because you can also keep track of how many assessments have been completed. You can send reminders, and all of it's through this portal. So you don't have to send a separate portal. You can even copy a link and paste it into your Outlook email and send it to them if you want to do it that way. So there's a lot of different ways you can send the invitations. And so there's the assessment status. It'll show that it's completed, and you can go through, and you can download the reports, you can email them if you want to email them. And so it has in progress, completed, not started. And then you can even add support materials. So you can purchase the Strong Interest Inventory Report, and there's a Skills Confidence Report. That's just basically a very comprehensive reporting of the interest inventory. And so there's one for business leaders. There's a booklet, Where Do I Go Next? A lot of times this is helpful for college students. So, okay, I've done this assessment, now what? How do I apply these skills? So there's a lot of great information, and there's just a lot of different types of reports. So if you go to Browse Catalog, you can see which one would be the best fit for your clients. See if it'll let me. And you can filter it by product family. Like if you're looking for MBTI and Strong, if someone hasn't done the Strong assessment, there's even a Myers-Briggs app. I've actually downloaded this to my phone because a lot of times when I'm in meetings or doing coaching sessions or facilitating, someone may tell me what their MBTI categories are, and I can quickly look on my phone to see how I could best talk to that person, communicate, or give them advice and feedback. So this is a really cool app, and it's only $12. You can download it to your phone. Anybody can. And then you also have the MBTI reports, and there's just a number of different, there's over 40 pages of products. So I know we don't have time to go through all of them, but if anyone has any questions or wants to talk to me separately, I'm happy to go through and talk with you about some of the reports, and, you know, even do a demo if you're interested in getting certified. And all of these, you know, you wouldn't be able to view unless you are certified and get access. So that's one of the benefits of going through maybe that educational eligibility, is you can get access to all of these reports and be able to leverage them in your workplaces, in your settings. I guess we can move on to, if you're ready to move on to the next piece. Let me stop sharing.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Brandi. And I love that there are some different ways to look at MBTI and Strong than just the basic one that we've had. And it looks like that site is just sort of a great site where everything is all in one place. And with that, having those certifications, we get access to some things that maybe we wouldn't have had access to otherwise. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
All right, now we are going to move on to Monique to talk with us about the Clifton Strengths Finder. Monique.
Hello, hello. Let's see. I wanted to share my, there's some notes there. I wanted to also share my screen, but I'll just kind of give a quick preview, and then hopefully I can. It's telling me it will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue?
Just
so
let me know when you're ready and I'll stop sharing.
Okay, will do. Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I also wanted to share that I am the CMCS Commissioner for NCDA. I'm new this year in my role, so if there's anyone interested in that credential, the Certified Master of Career Services, I'm the person that you would talk to. So, so anyway, I'm talking about the Clifton Strengths today, and you know, I have some very basic information. I know most of you are familiar with Clifton Strengths and you probably use it in your practice, maybe not. So that's just some background information, but I wanted to emphasize that it's been around for a long time, as you all know, 50 years of data and analytics. They said something like 20 million people have used the Clifton Strengths. Also, it's just widely researched, created by Don Clifton, and I just love it, and I use it a lot with the work that I do. And it's an assessment, as you know, that there's no wrong answers. It's all about what you feel and helping people to determine who they are and what they're good at and what really motivates them and what drives them. So that is the Clifton Strength. That's why I use it. As I said, I just really enjoy it, really like it. I also wanted to, before I go to I wanted to actually show you something on the screen, and I'll let you know, but there's two different types of reports for the Clifton Strengths. One of the reports is your top 5 strengths. The other is the 34 strengths, which is like the full report, really colorful reports. And they have versions. Let me see if I can start to share. Okay, of course, it's not where I want it to be. Where is it? Okay. All right, can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just kind of like a highlight of, well, it's cutting some of it off. But anyway, this is sort of what it looks like. I'm sure you've seen it before. Very colorful report. I also use cards as well. It's not a card sort, but I don't know if you all can see them here. You probably have some yourself. I don't know, maybe not. Clifton Strength Finder, Theme Insights. The cards are really good because they have additional information, and they're great conversation starters for working with your clients and really kind of doing a deep dive and looking at the behaviors and so on and so forth. So this is that's, kind of a snapshot of a report. The way that I use it is I sort of purchase, I have a business account and I sort of purchase packages, I guess, or lump sums of the assessments. And I just send out the codes to my clients. So they kind of give you a unique, let me see if I can show it to you, if it shows here. Okay, well, I think I'm bumped out now, so sorry. Well, I'm not gonna get back in. But I purchase like certain number of assessments and then I send the code out to clients, and then they're able to redeem, the code, and then they go and complete the assessment, and then I get a copy of their report, and they also get a copy of the report. And so that's kind of how I use it. Nothing earth-shattering, nothing major. And that's for the one-on-one coaching. And then I also have used it in a group coaching session, but I used it with the organization that I was working with. The platform that they used was called Cloverleaf. It's based here in Cincinnati, and they specialize in assessments. So with that particular group, it was all on one platform, but they were able to do the Strength Finder, they were able to do the DISC, they were able to do the 16 personality. There were several others as well. So that was another way that I used the Strength Finder. And then we were able to see all of those assessments and kind of look at how they tied together and, the similarities and all of that. And as you may or may not know, there are several versions of the Strength Finder. There's one for educators and students. There's one for kids, ages 10 to 14. There's one for managers. I've also used the one for managers with another organization that I've worked with as well. And I think that's it. There are a lot of great resources. There's a resource guide that you can purchase from the Gallup Strengths. There are the cards that I shared. There's a couple of books that I think are really good. As you can see, I got all my little highlights there. This is called Strength Finder 2.0 from Gallup, Discover Your Clifton Strengths. Then I have another one. This one is by Tom Roth, Strength Finder 2.0. It's similar, but just a little bit different. But anyway, I like to create a report as well for the clients, in addition to the report that they get that kind of brings it all together for them. And I provide that for them, and we sort of talk through it. And yeah, that's it.
Great. Well, thank you, Monique. So these are a few of our panelists' go-to assessments. I know that there are so many out there, so don't forget, if you want to explore other assessments, be sure to look at the comprehensive guide to career assessment that is on ncda.org. You can buy the book, but then there's also an electronic version. And for those, it's not just the lists of the different assessments. We are also reviewing the different assessments in terms of how to use them and all of those. And so that's a great guide to expand on even the things that we have that our panelists have shared today. So now we're going to move into maybe new uses of what we're going to call old resources. And I'm going to start with Karol Taylor, who is our expert on the federal job search. And Karol, I understand that the federal government has gone through some rethinking things like social media in wake of the pandemic. So I'm going to turn that over to you now. Back one. Thank you, Karol. It makes me giggle a little bit because I think back to 10, 15 years ago when we first started using LinkedIn or first saw LinkedIn, and we were all like, I don't know about this. Be careful what you put out there. And now it's just built up to where there's so many different social media platforms, and everybody, including the federal government, is realizing the value and importance of having a positive presence and digital footprint. So thank you, Karol. All right, Jim is now going to share with us a little bit different perspective in using ONET in terms of taking action and being open to discovering something by accident. And Jim, I'm going to stop sharing so that you can share your screen.
Yeah, thank you. Intentional serendipity is what it really came out of really the work of the happenstance learning theory by Krumboltz, Levin, and Mitchell. And I like and appreciate the idea that you can create luck, but I call it intentional serendipity because it's one, I feel like you do indeed need to be intentional, and that's sort of the action part of the happenstance theory. But then I love the word serendipity because it really means discovering things by accident. And so it's not about as much creating luck, although that's what you're doing. But I just feel like we got to get our clients and students head in the space that you got to be open to discovering things by accident. And a lot of times it's a matter of trusting your instincts. So I want to show you one way that I do this. I love the whole idea of intentional serendipity, but I'm going to show you this sort of an intentional serendipity game, online game that I play with my clients and the students. And it's a great way to, like the card sorts, what you want to do is you want to know what's going on in people's heads. And so here's one way I encourage people to discover things by accident. So let me just do a quick. We go to ONET. You can do this in ONET. You can do this in Occupation Outlook Handbook, any place that has related occupations or similar occupations. So let's just go graphic designers. So let's say one of your clients really likes graphic design. And so what I do is I say, go here and just read this top part. You're not going to go read here. The new and improved ONET, used to have similar occupations sitting right here. Now they've moved it, so it's a little more klutzy. But I just have them look at this and go, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. And then they just scroll down to the bottom, and then this is where they can begin to go, well, what else is there? And I go, well, what else jumps out at you? Well, web and digital interface. That sounds cool. And I have them just read this beginning part. What is it? It may evaluate web design, following web, usability, blah, blah, blah. Here's some other titles. And then just kind of go, all right, well, what else is out there? And you go down to the bottom. Well, look at web developers. It's a bright outlook. Let's look at web developers and what are they doing? Do a quick look at this. Scroll down. All of a sudden, here's another one. This one's a little different, right? Search marketing strategist. So this is people who are looking at sort of analyzing the research and SEO and all that. And this is really where you begin to see what is going on in your clients or students' head. What do they really like? Because this is where, here's some sample reported titles. This is actually, what I like about this is the different job titles, because it kind of gives you a sort of a clue of what they're doing. And then here's where you begin to go, now, are they going to circle back? Are they circling back to the web and digital interface, or are they pursuing this market research analyst and are going down this road? But either way really is a clue to what they're thinking and what's going on in their heads, right? You can't, it would take a lot of questions to get to that point, but sometimes it's just a matter of clicking through, let them click through, and you can actually watch them do this and sort of see what are they doing and what words are sort of coming out here. And I always talk to people about trust and instincts and your hunches and intuition and all that stuff. And this is a great way to see what they're thinking. So that's a great way to use intentional serendipity and just use an ONET. But again, you could use Occupational Outlook Handbook and do the same thing, or the Career One Stop also. So that's just a one way that I use intentional serendipity.
Great. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. And I love this, the whole qualitative thing. It doesn't always have to be about numbers and finding stuff. I mean, this is just kind of watching and seeing where they're going and what paths they're taking. We're going to shift gears a tiny bit here. One of the questions that often comes up during our Tuesday talks has to do with how on earth does everybody keep track of everything that you're doing, from schedules to forms to everything else? And so we're going to share some of our favorite administrative tools, starting with Monique. So Monique, tell us about Asana.
Okay, so I do want to say that I am not an expert at Asana, but I do like Asana because I have a virtual assistant, and she introduced me to Asana, and it was a way for us to sort of keep track of the work that I was assigning to her and for her to complete tasks and so forth. I am going to show you in a minute, just one screen. I believe that we are only using Asana at 10% capacity of all the things that it can do. Okay, so basically what it is it's a comprehensive web and mobile work management platform designed to help teams and organizations track and manage their work, right? So right now it's just really she and I. So I don't have a big, huge team that I'm trying to communicate with, but you can use it for that. And it's been very, very effective. I have the app on my phone. I don't really like looking on my phone because it's small and it, you know, I can't see. I'm getting, my eyesight's not great. So I tend to use it on the computer, but you can use it in both places. So, and generally what it starts with, and I will show you here in a second, it starts with a task. So that's the first thing I do when I go into it. I'm like, oh, I want her to update a page on my website. So I'll create the task and type out what I'd like for her to do. And then if I need to send images or whatever, I can attach the image. It's almost like just sending an email. That's kind of how I use it. And then she looks at it and I can see that she received it. It sends me a message that she received it. And so, you know, I know that, and then we communicate that way. And then when she's done, she can click completed and I get a message that tells me that she's done, look at it, you know, see what you think. So the way that I use it, I'm going to show you here. Let me
Do you
see.
need me to stop sharing?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is like an old assignment here. It starts with a task here. So I go in here and I add the task, I type it all out and so forth. And then it sort of populates in an inbox. So this is just to kind of give you kind of a visual of how it looks. So I'm, you know, the messaging is on the right there. Then I sent her the document there, it's a PDF, and then she's messaging me back. So like I said, it's very, very basic. I really only use it for newsletters. She does a newsletter for me. So I'm feeding her all the content and the information. She does the design. If she does any social media posts for me, I send her the content. Again, she does the design. Same thing with my website. You know, I asked her to add my book. I co-authored a book with some other individuals, and so I had her do that. So that's kind of how I use it. Like I said, I'm not doing anything earth-shattering, but it is a nice way to be able to go back and look and see, you know, the different assignments, and we kind of communicate that way. If you see there on the left, space for testimonial. I was asking her to create a testimonial section and so forth. So that's really it.
Right. You know, when I look at this, what I really like about it is that it kind of puts the whole project in one place. You're not having to go
Exactly.
back and search for old emails and figure out where things are and all of the attachments. And you could just go to this one website or one platform.
One
and see
platform.
everything that you need to see. And I think that's, you know, anything about efficiency makes me very happy.
Yes, yes. And like I said, she introduced this to me as a way to help organize, which I appreciated. It took me a minute. I was, you know, asking her, well, where's the paperclip to add the the document? So it took me a minute to get used to it, but I know how to use it for what I need it for, you know, so.
Perfect.
All
Gives
right.
us some good things to go play with. All right. Now I'm going to ask Brandi to share a little about Calendly with us. And so, or Calendly. So Brandi, I'll stop share so you can take control there.
Thank you. Let's see, it's saying. There we go. All right. So this is my Calendly, and there's different subscriptions. There's like a basic subscription all the way up to a corporate team subscription, and the prices go up from there. But for a solo entrepreneurial, the basic to me is enough, and then you can add some bells and whistles. But what I've done is create different workflows and different meeting events that I can add to my CRM, or I can copy a link and put it in an email. I can view it on my booking page, and Calendly has actually updated a lot of their technology, so it's been great. So the overall page, you can create your own page where your clients, students can go and just pick out which event they want to book. Or if you want to restrict it a little bit more, then you can just give them the links that you want to send them, and you can share them with others. So whenever you're going in and creating your events. You can color coordinate it. You can decide if you want it to, if there is an option going to be for phone, Zoom, Teams, or some other in-person location. You can add in your information for the meetings, and then you can label it, whatever you want to label it, and then pick your color. So it's very, very customizable. And then you can go in and choose when people access this link, how far in advance can they schedule with you within a date range, and definitely the time frame of the meeting. You can use an existing schedule or a custom schedule. So you really just go through and you just customize every piece of it. You can even buffer it to where you can't book events, or someone can't book events 15 minutes before or after a meeting's been booked, or if there's events already on your calendar, it'll automatically buffer against those. And then you can even set rules for availability, scheduling conflicts. I mean, you name it. This can really be a super helpful tool as far as scheduling and managing your calendar, and having your clients be able to book on demand without having to go back and forth and do doodles and things like that. And then you can also customize different questions for the invitee to the meeting: name, email. You can ask them for phone number, what type of meeting they're wanting, is if there's any guests that need to be added. So you can customize like what questions, maybe what would you like to talk about today? What do you want to focus on? Different things like that. And also, if you have a CRM system, you can add it as a workflow into your CRM system, which is what I did with my CRM Dubsado. I actually put it into my system workflows to where when an email automatically went out or a workflow started, the links were already embedded in the workflow. And so I didn't have to cut and paste and do all that. It would just, based on the workflow, the link would be embedded and it would go out to the client. And now looks like Calendly is doing their own workflow automation. So this is kind of cool. I haven't tried it yet because I already have my workflows, but if you're looking for some sort of workflow system, this would definitely be something to try. And then for notifications, you can personalize your calendar invitations. You can switch to email confirmations, or they can just get a calendar invite. You can even upgrade to do the texting service, where it'll text them, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, however customized you want it to be when they get those reminders, and it'll send them a text that says, hey, you have a meeting with Brandi Muñoz at 3 o'clock today. And so I used to have that when I actually downgraded because I'm not having as many meetings as I used to. But it's a great service if you're definitely in private practice, or you're, for students, if you want to remind them, make sure they show up. And then you can do an email follow-up. You can have a no reply address. There's the text reminders. You can even do a cancellation policy and add that in there with cancel and reschedule links. So that way, if somebody needs to, cancel, reschedule, they can just do it automatically, and you'll get the notification. It'll remove it from your calendar and their calendar, and it'll update it to the new meeting time if they reschedule. So really cool tool. I've been using this for the past 7 years, and it's been just an amazing tool. And it's also grown as well. And you can collect payment. So if you have services where your clients can make a payment to start a service and integrate that to your workflow, you can also add that in here, and you have to upgrade your subscription to be able to collect payments. But if that's something you're looking for, this might be a really cool entry-level tool to, if you're in a startup or you're just trying to kind of see what tools you're wanting to use. This is great because it's a month-to-month subscription. You can cancel anytime, or if you want to get a discount, then you could purchase a year subscription, but the cost is still pretty nominal and you're not committing to anything long-term. And you can upgrade, downgrade at any time, which is also a great feature of the tool.
Okay. Thank you, Brandi.
My
For
pleasure.
those of you who have not yet experienced the joys of electronic scheduling, I highly recommend it. It makes life so much easier where you're not the back and the forth. Well, do you have this time? Do you have this time? So Calendly is a great tool. And then there are others out there as well. For the sake of time, I'm going to briefly show the diversity slide. I don't want to give it short shrift, but I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to ask questions. So as you know, one of the big priorities of NCDA is DEI, and A has now been added, the accessibility piece. And so our panelists each shared some DEI websites that they like. This one, the diversity calendar, and if with panelists' permission, do you mind if I just give a brief overview so we can get to questions? This one talks about all sorts of different dates of things coming up, global festivals, all kinds of things. And so it really pulls in almost every part of DEI&A that you can think of, and things that we wouldn't normally just, that would be our go-tos. So I highly recommend looking at this diversity calendar. Then, oops, close that one out. This site was one that Monique shared, and I was, when she told us about it, she initially started talking about the racial equity tools glossary, which you know that so much of the verbiage and the language around the DEI and A world changes. And so this helps us to define those things. But then what really got me is when I started poking around through these other aspects of this. And so it's really about, taking action as well as basic understanding. And then finally, Jim, I'm going to ask you, I don't know if this is going to automatically start playing here. Jim, who are the people here who you were talking with?
Yeah, Jen Tardy she does a lot of trainings, and Dustin Ward, he was a speaker at Maine Career Development, and he's a pretty young guy, but he's doing some tremendous work in this field. I love this interview. I got to tell you, and both of these people are just really doing really good work. I actually bring Dustin into my FCD class and every class now. So he's that when we talk about the diversity chapter. So take a look at it. I just dropped it in the chat too, in case people want to just click on it.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know that it matters to anyone necessarily, but before Jim did this, he said, I don't want to be self-promoting because it was my conversation with them. But y'all, when you watch, it is every bit listening to what they had to say. So with that, I would like to open up the discussion to any questions that y'all might have. Alicia will be monitoring chat. So if you have any questions, please put them in there, and we will use our last few minutes together to answer questions. Let's see. I see Karol with a hand up.
Are you talking about the Calendly tool? The Myers-Briggs, yes. There's no time to set up. I mean, the way I used it is I would, meet with the client, determine if they needed an assessment, and then I would pick out the assessment that was best suited for them. And so then I would go in, order the assessment, put in their email, and it would send out. I mean, it was less than 10 minutes, if that. So it's very time efficient, and the way that Elevate, I think that's why they have the separate site, because all the products you can even go to your most ordered and pick out the ones that you order the most, and then you just duplicate it and send it to the client. So there's really no time at all, and it'll auto send everything, the reminders. It'll even say, so-and-so hasn't completed their assessment. Do you want to send a reminder email? But you can also pre-set up the reminder emails to go out, after a week, 14 days, whatever. So there's really nothing for you to do until the client completes the assessment, and then you, when you set up the project, they call it project, you can decide, do you want to get their assessment report, or do you want the client to get the assessment report? So either they can read it and then you can set up the meeting, or you can get the report and then set up the meeting with them to review it. So however best, works with your clients. I usually save the report because sometimes they get the report and then I never hear from them again, or they, so it's kind of my leverage of like, hey, you want to go through this report together? Let's set up this meeting. Yes. Okay, no, it's completely changed. The Elevate site now, it's basically its own automation system. So you go in, you purchase the report, right, or however many reports you want to purchase, and then you assign it to a person. So you could buy, say, 10 reports and then assign it to different clients. And when you buy the report, it stays in your account until you're ready to deploy it. So if, say, you do send an assessment to somebody and they don't complete it, that will still be in your account. So just because you assigned it, as long as they don't complete it, and say they decide they don't want to do it anymore or whatever, you can recall that assessment and use it for someone else. So you don't lose your credits. Mm-hmm.
We have a question from Esther Wang. Esther says, are there some assessments about career value and career anchor to recommend? Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I like the career values card sort, which you can do their actual card sorts, or you can also do it online through the same careerplanner.com website that the skills card sorts are through. They both work. There's a lot of different values tools like that. I also think Anush Hansen's balanced cards are really about values. They're talking about how do you balance your life, and it's a lot of values questions. And she just created another card sort for high school age. So if you're in the K to 12 high school age, she's got a values card sort for high school. So those are good. I'm sorry, I didn't catch. Yeah, right.
So I think there were a couple of questions early in the chat about is it possible to use the card sorts virtually? But I think what Esther's asking is there something that would be a web assessment or something like that instead, or in addition to the card sort? Esther, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, on the careerplanner.com, you can just purchase the values card sort. That you can indeed purchase that. There's some other freebie things out there, but I tend to use I like the values card sort because it's pretty easy where you can do it online, and then you sort of get a report. And because it's through my account, I can go in and look at the cards, and then I can talk with them. So yeah, so you can just do the values card sort, or you could just do the skills card sort. You don't have to do both.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Other questions, folks? We have a couple of minutes left.
Can I just give a recommendation as well?
Go ahead, Monique.
So there's on careeronestop.org, there's a work values matcher, Esther, and it's free. I haven't really used it much, but I'm aware of it. So that might be something you might want to investigate. It's called the Work Values Matcher, and it's at careeronestop.org, and it's free. So it's all about helping client identify their, values as it relates to work.
Thank you, Monique. Karol. You're muted, Karol. There you go.
I mean, I didn't do it. I didn't do any type of certification or anything like that. Just because I'm in my degrees in counselor ed. So we were heavily immersed in career assessments in my program and so on and so forth. And I've been doing it. So I haven't paid for any type of, major, plan to use it. Anyone can go on and take it themselves. You can go to gallupstrengthcenter.com is the website. I don't think I put that on my cards. And an individual can take it on their own. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't know. I know the assessments are about $49, and I usually incorporate that into, the costs of when I coach someone or work with someone and administer it. And the top 5 assessment report is like $19.99. So yeah, that's all that I did.
Thank you. All right, folks, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and we have gone our hour here. I want to thank the panel for all of your work on this and for being willing to do this. Always love collaborating with any of you when I can. Thank all of you for participating. Our emails are here. All of us welcome. Feel free to send us emails if you have additional questions, any thoughts. And I think that's it. Alicia, is there anything that we need to do to wrap up?
No, I just wanted to say thank you as well to Courtney and to all of our panelists today, as well as our attendees. Attendees, keep an eye out for an email from me the end of this week with information about continuing education, as well as the link to this recording if you want to go back and rewatch it. Hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon.
Great. Thank you.